She hadn't spoken a single word in 2 years. But the moment she saw the stranger at the grocery store, she whispered, "Mummy, that's him." Claire always remembered the exact moment her world cracked open. It was a Saturday night, late summer, the kind that feels too warm to ever hold anything bad. Lily had been drawing with chalk on the driveway bright pink flowers and crooked sunshine beams even as daylight faded. She promised her mother she'd stay right by the porch, and she usually did. Lily was an obedient child, a gentle soul, the kind who apologized to aunts she accidentally stepped on. 5 minutes, that's all it took. One moment she was their knees dusty, laughter floating in the air, and the next, the driveway was empty, the chalk rolling in slow circles, silence swallowing everything. Claire always said those were the longest 3 days of her life. Not 3 days, really. More like 72 hours of a mother pleading, bargaining, whispering prayers into the dark. Coffee going cold in her hands. Every knock on the door making her knees buckle. Every phone call nearly stopping her heart. And when Lily was finally found alone in the woods, sitting against a tree with her arms wrapped tight around herself, Claire broke into a run so desperate that even the police didn't dare stop her. She sank to her knees in the dirt and hugged her daughter until all the world's air seemed to collapse inside that embrace. But when Claire whispered, "You're safe, baby." "You're safe now," Lily didn't answer. Not that day. Not that night. Not for the next 2 years. Doctors called it trauma-induced mutism, a protective barrier, a mind shutting down what it couldn't process. All Claire heard was, "Your daughter may never speak again." And yet, every night, Claire would tuck her in gently, smoothing Lily's hair away from her eyes. She would whisper stories of brave girls and bright futures. And one night, when she thought Lily was asleep, she whispered her biggest fear. "I just want to hear your voice again." Even one word. But Lily didn't speak. She only curled closer, silent as snowfall. 2 years later, the ordinary morning that wasn't it was a quiet, slow, the kind where families wander through grocery stores in sweatshirts, sipping coffee from travel mugs. Claire and Lily had a routine. Apples first, then bread. Then Lily's favorite yogurt that came with tiny chocolate chips. Lily, now 10, walked close to her mother, always close. She carried a small stuffed bunny, ears worn soft from years of being gripped tightly during sleepless nights. They had just turned down the cereal aisle when Lily stopped walking down at first. Claire didn't notice she was comparing prices, trying to decide whether the brand she liked was worth 50 cents more. But then she felt a tug on her sleeve, a soft, trembling tug. She turned. Lily's face had drained of color. Her hands shook. Her eyes, usually so dull and distant since the trauma, were suddenly wide, alive, afraid. Her lips parted. Then, slowly, painfully, a small breath escaped her. "Mummy, that's the man who took me." Claire's world lurched so violently she had to grab the cart to steady herself. There, near the checkout, stood a man, maybe mid-40s, jeans, a flannel shirt, grocery basket in hand, brows pressed together as he examined a bottle of pasta, sauce like any normal person on an ordinary Sunday morning. He didn't look dangerous. He didn't look like a monster, but a mother doesn't question her child's fear. A mother knows. Claire's pulse hammered in her ears as she crouched to meet her daughter's eyes. Her voice cracked. "Sweetheart, are you sure?" Lily nodded, slow and trembling, and for the first time in 2 years, Tears streamed down her cheeks in silence. The grocery store freeze. Claire didn't scream, didn't confront him, didn't make a scene. Her body went into a strange autopilot calm, protective, fierce. She whispered, "Stay right behind me," and pushed the cart toward customer service, where her voice shaky but clear explained what Lily had said. Within minutes, the grocery store manager discreetly guided customers away from the man. Another employee quietly locked the automatic doors. Someone called the police. The man didn't seem to notice any of it. He just kept reading labels, moving slowly, calmly, unaware that the world was closing in around him. When the officers finally approached, the man turned and his face crumpled in confusion, then fear. "What's going on?" he asked, voice trembling. One officer responded gently, "Sir, we just need to ask you a few questions." The man's grocery basket slipped from his hand, clattering on the linoleum floor. Is this about the little girl?" he whispered. Claire froze. The officer's tone sharpened. "What girl?" The man swallowed hard. "The one from 2 years ago? The one who was missing? I saw her on the news." His eyes darted around. Is she okay?" Claire's stomach flipped. How did he know? Lily, standing behind her mother's legs, began to tremble even harder. That's when everything turned upside down. The twist that shook everyone when the officers led the man outside. He didn't run. He didn't argue. He just sank onto the curb and buried his face in his hands. "Please," he begged. "I didn't take her. I'm not that person. I swear on my life. I was the one who found her." Silence. Even the officers exchanged startled glances. Claire felt her breath catch. "Found her?" The man nodded desperately. "I work maintenance at the park near the woods. 2 years ago, early morning, I saw a little girl sitting alone by a tree. She looked so lost. I approached slowly so I wouldn't scare her." He pressed a shaking hand to his forehead. "She wouldn't talk, but she let me pick her up. She held onto my shirt the whole walk back." Claire felt the world tilt around her. The man continued, eyes shining with tears. "I carried her out of the woods. I tried calling out for help, but my phone was dead. When I finally heard search teams in the distance, I set her down where they could find her easily. But," his voice cracked, "but I ran. I ran because I knew how it would look. A grown man carrying a missing girl. No one would have believed me." One of the officers stepped aside and made a quick call to pull up old rescue team notes. Another asked for security footage from the grocery store to confirm the man hadn't approached Lily. Claire knelt in front of the man, her heart thundering. "You carried her out," she whispered. "You brought her back." He nodded silently. Tears blurred Claire's vision. "And you never came forward?" His answer was a whisper. "I was scared." The memory Lily didn't understand. The police returned after reviewing the store footage. The man had never approached Lily. He had simply walked past with his basket. Then came the confirmation call from the search team archives, one that made Claire's knees nearly buckle. Yes, a man matching his description had been seen running from the woods on the morning Lily was found. Search volunteers assumed he was avoiding reporters. They had documented it, but never followed up now. Everything made sense. Lily hadn't recognized the man who hurt her. She had recognized the man who saved her. He had been The first safe arms she felt after 3 days alone, her mind fractured. By trauma had remembered the sensation without understanding it in that grocery store. Lily hadn't spoken out of fear. She had spoken because a memory had finally found its voice, the officers assured Claire they'd continue looking for the real abductor. Meanwhile, the man, his name was Ethan, was cleared of suspicion, but still sat on the curb. Shaking, Claire turned to Lily. "Sweetheart, why did you think he was the one who took you?" Lily's small voice, newly awakened, croaked out, "Because he held me." Claire felt her heart break in a different way. She wrapped her arms around Lily, rocking her gently. "I know, baby. But he held you to bring you home." Lily peeked over Claire's shoulder at Ethan. Her chin trembled. "Home." Ethan swallowed hard. "I'm so sorry if I scared you. I was just trying to help." Lily stepped forward, slow and cautious. Her small hand reached out hesitant, then gently touched Ethan's sleeve. "You are warm," she whispered. "I remember." Ethan broke. Tears fell freely as he nodded, unable to speak. Over the next weeks, police reopened the investigation with new insight. Claire cooperated with therapists to help. Lily processed the memory truthfully and safely. But something else changed. Something Claire never expected. Every Sunday, after grocery shopping, Lily asked, quietly, "Mummy, can we see him again?" So Claire arranged it. They would meet Ethan at the park. Near the playground, he always sat on the bench, hands folded, unsure if he was welcome to be part of their healing or just a passing figure. But Lily slowly walked closer each time. The first Sunday, she simply sat beside him. The second, she told him she liked bunnies. The third, she brought him a drawing of the tree where she'd been found. "You made me safe," she wrote in uneven letters. Ethan couldn't read it without wiping his eyes.
Claire watched the connection grow with cautious gratitude. She had spent 2 years fearing every stranger, 2 years imagining the worst in every shadow. But this man, quiet, gentle, remorseful, had unknowingly been the beginning of her daughter's return to safety. And now, without meaning to, he was helping Lily find her voice again. One morning, Lily ran ahead to the park bench and called out, loud, bright, like sunlight bursting through a storm. "Hi, Ethan." Claire froze. It was the clearest, strongest sound she'd heard from her daughter in years. Ethan's head snapped up. He smiled, a soft, overwhelmed smile. "Hi, Lily." Claire pressed a hand to her mouth and cried softly. But for once, they were tears of relief. 3 months after the grocery store, a letter arrived in the mail addressed to Claire. Inside was a handwritten note from the police. They had identified a suspect, someone unrelated to Ethan entirely. Someone who had been living in another state the entire time since the incident. Someone with a history of similar crimes. They had enough evidence to move forward. Claire sat at the kitchen table, the letter trembling in her hands. Lily sat beside her, coloring a picture of a tall tree with 2 figures, a little girl and a man holding her hand. "Mommy," Lily asked softly, "is everything okay?" Claire looked at her daughter, alive, healing, speaking again, and realized something profound. For years, she had prayed for Lily's voice to return. She never imagined the first word would be the beginning of unraveling a truth they all misunderstood. She hugged Lily tightly. "Yes, sweetheart, everything's going to be okay now." Lily smiled, leaning into her mother. Then she whispered, "Because we found him, the good one." Claire nodded. "Yes," she whispered, "we did." For the rest of their lives, Claire and Lily never forgot that ordinary Sunday morning in that ordinary grocery store. The place where Lily's silence broke. The place where fear turned into clarity. The place where a man, once too scared to speak, finally found the courage to tell the truth. Ethan never asked for anything in return, but every year on the anniversary of the day Lily was found, he received a card from her, a drawing, a message, a reminder that even in the darkest stories, sometimes the person you fear isn't the villain. Sometimes they're the one who carried you toward the light. And sometimes, a frightened whisper in a grocery store aisle becomes the first step toward healing. Because Lily didn't speak again out of terror. She spoke again because for the first time in 2 years, she remembered what safety felt like.